Welcome to Black and Gold Weekly, presented by BetSafe Colorado. I'm your guy, Charles Johnson, CJ. Many of you know me as, and I'll be your host for this podcast throughout the course of this season, and who knows, perhaps even beyond. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk about the CU Buffs and all the just unbelievably crazy, magnificent things that's happened around that program, particularly given where we've come from. You think about December, whatever the date was, the day before Coach Prime was hired to where we are today. No one could have imagined the excitement and just the overall lift to the energy around the program and the university that's taken place. We'll talk more about that. But to just give you a little bit of background about Black and Gold Weekly, it's a weekly show, as noted in the title. I know, people are saying, well, we figured that one out, CJ. But I'll be your host, as I mentioned, and we'll have a guest every week, primarily a CU legend or the administrator or someone to give us some insight of what's happening up at the University of Colorado as it relates to football now and other topics as well. We'll have some fun with it, but it'll be extremely informative, a little educational, more fun than educational, because I'm more of a fun guy than a teacher. Be that as it may, you'll be the judge, but we'll have a good time over the course of this half hour or so, breaking down all things CU Buffs. This week, we have a special guest for you. I'll just go ahead and let you know right now. My dear friend, all-time leading, he'll never let anyone live this down, all-time leading all-purpose yard getter in the history of the Big 8 Conference. Kordell Stewart is going to be my first guest on Black and Gold Weekly, again, presented by BetSafe Colorado. So you want to make sure you stay tuned for that coming right up here. But I just want to set this up for you because some of you may know me from my days on the air here at on 104.3 The Fan. But my time here in Colorado is very special to me. And I'll take a break from some of the lighthearted stuff that we talk about oftentimes. You'll get a lot of that with my first guest and other guests. But I agreed to do this podcast because the University of Colorado was special to me for so many reasons. What people don't know about CJ is the fact that I came here in 1987 as a walk-on to the football program. Now, because of how things sort of ended for me or unwound for me at CU as a student athlete, people assume that I was some highly recruited quarterback that picked CU perhaps over the likes of Oklahoma or Nebraska or Michigan or some other, big time college football program. Nothing could be further from the truth. I was an accomplished high school football player, but not highly recruited. I was a small quarterback. Let's face it, an African-American quarterback back in 1987 of my size wasn't all that sought out. I had offers to go to college, but not to play quarterback. The University of Colorado offered me an opportunity to walk on and play quarterback. Coach Bill McCartney recruited me out of my home in Detroit. I chose CU, and through a very a turbulent sometimes, but up and down career as a student athlete. I ended up graduating. As I mentioned, I was the most valuable player of the national championship game in the Orange Bowl, in which we beat Notre Dame, and earned my degree. My baby brother came out and lived with me on campus when he was a sophomore in high school. I was a sophomore at the university. The university means so much more than winning and losing football games to me. And that's why I was excited about standing before you on a weekly basis to talk about the greatness and the importance of that institution. And again, we'll talk a lot about football and other things, but I wanted to just reintroduce myself to many of you who, again, has listened to me over the years in my radio days. But I wanted to level set because this is a labor of love for me. And no one is more excited to see what's happening up at CU right now than I am. 1-11 a year ago, really considered dead on arrival to many in college athletics, and all that's happening on the college athletic landscape. CU was not in the conversation. There was a hire that was made back in December. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, agreed to be our next college football coach here at CU, and our fortunes began to change immediately. We'll talk a lot about that and the impact that Coach Prime has made on this program. You look at all of the economic indicators. You talk about season tickets, all the premium seats in the stadium, apparel sales, you name it. My guess is applications and interest in the university has gone up since Coach Prime has been here. Not necessarily directly related to football, but certainly something that a great program impacts. You look at social media looks or interest in the program. I think at one point over the course of the last several months, CU was number one in terms of hits on social media related to college football programs. It's unheard of the lift that's happened at this university since the hiring of Coach Prime. And this is all true without one game having been played. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a lot of things, but I just wanted to let you all know that, again, we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll have a lot of great guests, Kordell Stewart being our first one of the all-time greats. If there were a Mount Rushmore of college football players who played at CU, Stu would certainly be on that monument. That's how important, how big he was to college or to the University of Colorado's football program over the course of its lifetime, dating back to 1890. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a great time. And again, I just want to thank all the folks who make this possible. Again, this is show number one of what's going to promise to be a fun time. Again, Black and Gold Weekly, presented by BetSafe Colorado, and more and others. So with that, we're going to just strap it up, buckle down, get ready for a fun ride. I'm guaranteeing you that your guest each week will be, again, fun, informative, knowledgeable about the subjects related to CU, and you're guaranteed to come out more with a greater understanding of what's happening up in Boulder than when you started watching the show. So look forward to that. And let's just get right to it. All right, let's head down to Atlanta, Georgia, and hook up with the second best quarterback in the history of Colorado. My guy, Kordell Stewart. Stu, of course, this is Black and Gold Weekly, presented by BetSafe Colorado. Stu, thanks for joining me. Listen, this is the first show that we've done here with Black and Gold Weekly. You're my first guest, and I wouldn't have it any other way, man. Thanks for joining me, bro.
Hey, I'll tell you what, we're going to back up a little bit. You said the second best?
Yeah, second. I mean, second best.
Oh, so we're giving it to who? Duke Tobin? He's the first?
Listen, man, look. Are you disputing? You got a problem with second best? Hey, listen.
You know what? Because you know what? I take second best. Take second best.
Think of it like this, man. See, you started playing football in 1890. If you do the math and say roughly each year about 3 quarterbacks on average play, that's almost what's that math come out? I mean, that's a lot of quarterbacks.
That's a lot of quarterbacks.
And to be second best?
I'm a competitor. I just don't like it. To who? That's the question we got to answer. To who?
It doesn't matter, man. I mean, people have opinions. Anyway, man, I didn't mean to distract us. But what is not disputable or in dispute is the fact that you are the all-time, all-purpose yards gainer in Big 8 history. Is that correct?
Yes, that's 100% correct. I'll give you the numbers precisely, sir. That's 7,770, and that's Mike Gundy, who's at, I think, 7,749.
You know those numbers, huh?
Yeah. I had to look it up. Yeah.
And by the way, on that list, you are number one. So congratulations,
yes,
man. And again, thanks for joining the show. Hey, Stu, real quick, look, I know the elephant in the room is what's happening up in Boulder right now. There's a great deal of excitement for a number of reasons. Your former teammate, your dear friend, Deion Sanders, now the head coach. Before we get into any particulars or specifics on that, just your overall feeling and thoughts about what Deion Sanders has meant to this program, and you know him well, before even coaching a football game. Just give me your overall thoughts on that.
Well, one, to know Prime is to know he doesn't like losing. Let's just say that. That L word doesn't exist in his vocabulary, truthfully. You've seen the body of work that he's done before even taking a snap with the institution, whether it's the awareness of the institution in its own, to the program with the football program and all programs included, whether it's ladies basketball, to the golf team. Anytime you see Ralphie on someone's helmet, someone's shirt, someone's hat, it brings relevance to what's taking place right now. And when you think of our merchandising around the country. We're second in merchandising after going 1-11. And that's behind, amazing, right? And that's behind the University of Georgia that went to 2 consecutive national championships and won them both. And so, we got what? We sold out when it came to the spring game, Chuck. It came down to we sold out for the regular season. I think it's the sports pass, I think, for the students. I think that sold out as well.
Yeah.
I don't even know the numbers, but you have to assume if there were any issues with that part. Now, I ain't talking about the X's and we haven't got to the X's and O's. We're just talking about the numbers from a business standpoint. He's been a lightning rod for our institution. And to say that, to me, goes to his vision, his understanding of that space that he's in. But most importantly, as good as he is in that space, he's also an inspirational leader, not just to his kids at home, but the kids on the football field, and I think through all of sports there at CU. So he's done a remarkable job without actually taking a snap when it comes down to what a program is supposed to look like and be like when it comes to relevance and being special.
One of the reasons why, I wanted you to be the first guest on the show is given what's happening up there and given your relationship with Coach Prime, you would have a better understanding than most as to the question I'm going to ask you next. Now, again, I think part of the answer to the question before I even ask it is that you had a great deal in creating an atmosphere up in Boulder where people could see what could be. It's been so long,
right.
But the history speaks for itself. I'll just ask you the question. Of all the options that we all believe Coach Sanders had, why CU? I mean, on a team, as you mentioned, that was 1-11, a program that struggled mightily over the past several years. Why CU?
Well, he's a game changer, right? He provokes change in the sense of wanting to be at its best levels. If you need him, because he's in the world of need be, right? Like, because I'm at my best when I can give 110%. I don't want to just be a part of something just to be a part of something. I want to be a part of something to be a change, to provoke change. Whether it's a part of the administration, whether it's a part of the football field, whether it's a part of the guys doing the groundskeeping, whether it's the trainers, or whether it's the mentality of the family, whether it's the guys in the cafeteria with the chefs, wherever it may be when it comes to that institution or an institution that is. That's who he is. Colorado was in the most desperate need, in my opinion, of all the teams out there. I think, if I'm correct, USF was on the map. I think Auburn was on the map, and a few other teams that were.
Cincinnati, I think, was one of the schools that. Yeah.
Yep, Cincinnati was another one. But CU, what we've known dating back to the 90s, which you, Darren Hagan, Vance Joseph, was a big reason of why I wanted to come. And you having to fill in a national championship game and be the MVP of that game dating back to 1990 when beating Notre Dame in the national championship in Orange Bowl was the reason why I came.
Yeah, I hope I know you hang out with Jerome Bettis a lot down there, man. I hope you remind your old buddy of that game.
Well, he likes to keep me close to him because it makes him feel even better than what he already feels. That's my guy. But you guys changed. Coach Mack was able to change the platform in a sense of how you looked at Boulder, Colorado. Because what did you think of that? Think of Mark and Mindy. I never thought of anything else. When I thought of coming to Colorado, what do you see on the football field on some of the highlights? You saw Mark and Mindy running around down the turf field, running from the.
Did you just say Mark and Mindy?
Mark and Mindy.
Oh my goodness, man!
That's what I remember, right?
That's what you remember.
Until I saw you guys.
I said Mark and Mindy.
Mark and Mindy, yeah.
Okay.
Right. I know that's an old school sitcom.
That's old school.
That's old school. And matter of fact, they're entrenched into the organization because, the football program, because they ran up and down the turf field. But I don't know but it's a part of what we did. But Prime has been able to do that exact same thing because of the need of our institution, with mainly the football program, to me, to where it just resonated everywhere else. So, he's a game changer. He's all about being an inspiration. And his position there at Colorado was needed tremendously.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've never seen this, Chuck, and you correct me if I'm wrong, in the history of sports, see a guy be as influential in changing how you perceive a team after coming from so far below the depths of what sports is really all about, to the point where there were potential, from what I heard from the outside looking in, we were getting ready to go from the Power Five to the Group of Five.
Yeah.
Because it was so bad. And now all of a sudden we're in the conversation of he's being one of the most magnetic people in all of college sports.
Stu, you make a great point about on the brink perhaps of being irrelevant as it relates to Power Five conference football or institutions. And again, before a game was coached, really throwing us back into the imagination of all the decision makers when it came to these big decisions. We go from Pac-12 to Big 12. I'll be candid with you. I'm not certain how welcoming the Big 12 would have been to us without Coach Prime. And so in a lot of ways, and you've made the point, we don't need to belabor it. I think it's a point that we'll continue to talk about over time, but he's one of one. Rick George and, Chancellor Stefano and the powers that be up in Boulder, they struck lightning with this one right here, because I'm not certain that there was another name, another personality, another coach, quite frankly, that could have brought to bear in Boulder what we're seeing happen right now. And with that, I'm going to get to this next question, because everything we've talked about has been pre-football season stuff. You've been around. I know you've been in town. You've talked to Prime on a semi, at least, regular basis. What do you see for this upcoming season, Stu? And what do you think over a 12-game season this thing looks like?
Well,
I mean, don't start breathing heavy and sighing now, man. I mean,
I'm trying to process.
You didn't hesitate about any other questions I asked. I just simple question. I know you've thought about.
Well, I want to be transparent here. I'm putting my analytical hat on.
He wants to be transparent. Appreciates transparent. It's a big hat.
I'm here. It's a big hat. Watch it. Take your time. Take your time. You were doing good. Take your time. See, you get rid of 51 players, right? And however you choose to say it, 51 players leave. Get rid of sound pretty strong, but 51 players are gone, whether it's by their own hand or positioning other players to go somewhere where they'll have a better chance to play. I look at the first 4 games. We go TCU on the road. We go Nebraska at home, which is going to be a phenomenal one for our very first home game.
And I'm guessing you'll be here for that one.
I'll be there. Okay. Matter of fact,
Right.
I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be with you, buddy.
Just checking to see if you remember.
I got you.
All right,
I got you. Like you put me on the record.
Getting old.
Receipts,
I know you're getting old. Got the gray hair.
Receipts, man.
I got you.
Geez.
All right.
God almighty.
Nebraska at home.
Nebraska at home. Then we got CSU right after that at home.
That's right.
And then I think we have Oregon on the road. I say our first four games being transparent. I give us 3-1 in our first 4 games, but I say we get a minimum of 6 wins on the season. That's just me. I say 6 wins on the season. I think the pieces that he brought in, right? The pieces that he's brought in, whether it's the O-line, whether it's the secondary, whether it's the backfield, whether it's the receiving core, even the coaching staff, and him included. I think after going 1-11, can't get any worse than that. I'm shooting not for the stars, but just up to the high altitude areas, to the point where we're up there, because we're going to compete. The first 5 games are going to be hard for teams, I think, to figure out what we're doing and who we are. That's just me. The first 5 games. After that, barring, we stay healthy, things of that nature happens for us. We end up we have to start fighting really fast. I think people may say Oregon may be where the road gets kind of thick and it gets kind of heavy, but, they got to deal with us too, right? Because I have conversations from everybody around here. Man, what do you think is going to happen at such and such time? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, hey, you know what? I can only tell you about us. I can't tell you about everyone else, but I can tell you about us. No one knows who we are. No one knows who we are. When we made the change from 91 running the option to pass to then 92 going past the option, that first year, there was 1,000 yards thrown to Charles Johnson and a lot of 1,000 yards thrown to Michael Westbrook. No one ever thought that would happen. Wasn't our best year of the 4 years, but the change ended up coming in a way that caused
who threw
people
those
to
passes,
identify
by
something.
the way? Who threw those passes?
From what you told me a second ago, the second best quarterback in CU in school history.
Listen. And by the way, folks, that question that I just asked Stu was planted. He knew that I was going to ask him who threw those passes. But anyway, go ahead, man.
Yeah, and so I just think that the position that we're in is a very good one for us to catch everyone off guard. Even though we're as boastful as we are in our approach of who we are and what we believe in, and Coach Prime understanding what he has, I think that same mentality has to go into the play on the field in the sense of people trying to identify us. Because who are we? We don't even know who we are. They know, in the sense when I say we, meaning we're not at practice, I'm not on the coaching staff, I'm not there every day, but just being able to identify what's our mentality and who we are, we don't know yet. And we have to get put into these tough situations. TCU again, Nebraska, in-state rival in CSU, and then Oregon. I think in those first 4 to 5 games, we'll figure out who we are, but I give us a minimum of 6 wins on the year.
Wow. I love you. And your tone of optimism, man, is infectious. 3-1 to start is ambitious. I know that's your boy. I've gotten a chance to hang around and know him as well. He's convincing at the very least. And listen, let me tell you something, bro. If we go 3-1 to start this season, I'm not saying we won't. If we do it, I'm hosting the September parade. I'm your host. I'm your guy, right? Ticker tape and everything.
I'll be the second guy behind you too. I'll be second guy.
My man. Hey, bro, I love you, man. I appreciate the time. We're going to do this again. Again, the first of a number of great guests that's coming up. In fact, next week, I'm not going to say any names, but next week, you may want to tune in to Black and Gold Weekly, because we're going to have a very special guest. You talked a lot about him too.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm going to be there. Just let me know, since, I'll probably have to be second to know about this one too. So let me know, you understand what I'm saying?
Listen, man, it's been a lot of quarterbacks to play, bro. You're second on the long list, man. That's tall cotton. Love you, bro. Thanks for joining me, man.
Too,
All right. It's Black and Gold Weekly presented by BetSafe Colorado. We have, and you've heard it, and we'll continue to talk about why there's so much excitement around CU's football team in the upcoming season. I got to tell you, I've had a chance over the last 3 weeks to really spend some time around the program. And I can tell you from my own eyeballs and my own brain why I'm so excited and why perhaps you should be as well. I think the talent has improved immensely from just about every position you can think of. When I look at Deion Sanders, I think this is a young man at quarterback who at least profiles at this point to be an NFL capable, at the very least, quarterback. It's been a while since we've had a chance to say that around these parts. Travis Hunter, the kid who transferred from Jackson State along with Coach Sanders and was the #1 cornerback recruit in the country a couple of years ago. Better than advertised. Putting my eyes on this kid and watching him play, I was in awe. This kid is flat out good, and it would not surprise me if he's a future first-round draft pick. Jimmy Horn Jr., he's a catch-and-go guy. He's a catch-and-score guy. I've seen him on a number of times just catch the ball, a 7-yard short slant, and take it to the house, have that kind of burst ability. And that's the difference in what I see in this program today and the players that's taken the field and what I've seen in the recent past. Guys worked hard. This is not about, players not giving their best, but there's no substitute for talent in this regard and at this level. And the talent level I've seen increase a great deal. And so that's why I'm so optimistic about it. Now, there's a question as to whether or not all this could come together in short order with the huge turnover of players on this roster, student athletes on this roster. How fast can Coach Sanders and that coaching staff up in Boulder, who I would note is pretty darn good, how fast can they turn it around? That's going to be the prevailing question. If they can get it going and get momentum going early in the season, I think it could be a special season. I think the season will be special regardless. The question, too, becomes, what are our expectations? I said if we win 5 games this year, that will put us on the trajectory to really sustain a program that will make us all proud. There are some people who are much more optimistic than I am. Kordell, you heard him say he thought the first 4 games will go 3-1. If that happens, you can just call all the dogs off. It's going to be a big party around here. But I think expectations have to be set properly. Now, Coach Prime, and it's another one of the things I love about him, his expectation is to go out and win every football game they compete in. But I do think it's going to take some time. But the excitement is what it should be. And I can't wait to get to Folsom Field and look at 50+ thousand strong in a sold out stadium and college football returning to the Front Range in a way that we've grown accustomed to in years past. That's what's in store for us. That's what the football fans and sports fans across the state of Colorado deserve. And I think that's what's going to be delivered to you. Hey, make sure you join us next week. As I mentioned, we're going to have a very special guest. I'm not going to mention any names right now. We've talked a lot about him. You've heard his name before, but you want to be sure to tune in because I know ahead of kickoff against TCU, he'll have a lot to say. Thanks again for joining us. Black and Gold Weekly, presented by BetSafe Colorado. We'll see you all next week.